Artificial intelligence, it's not science fiction anymore. It's actually showing up in our cities, and it's promising to make them smarter, safer, more efficient. But with all that promise comes some very real peril. So what happens when this powerful new tech runs headfirst into our oldest social problems? Okay, let's get into it. So just take a look at this. This is not just some 3D map. It's what's called a digital twin of Detroit. Basically, a living, breathing, virtual model of the city. Planners can use it to test out new ideas, figure out infrastructure needs, and even simulate policy changes before they spend a single dollar in the real world. This, right here, is the incredible promise of AI, the power to build a better future, one data point at a time. Okay, so before we get into all the warnings and the scary stuff, let's stick with that promise for a minute. How exactly is AI becoming the modern city's most powerful new tool? What's really cool is how practical this all is. We're talking about AI that can optimize traffic signals to cut down on annoying gridlock and reduce emissions. Or think about this, government services that are actually available 24/7 through chatbots, so you can get answers at 2 in the morning. And then there's the stuff we don't see, like an AI that can predict which water pipes are about to burst, saving a city millions. And of course, it's about safety, helping cities respond way faster during a flood or a fire. The goal behind all of it? A city that just works better for everyone. It all sounds amazing, right? A perfectly tuned city running on smart, objective technology. But here's the twist, the big but in our story. What happens when these shiny new tools accidentally inherit our oldest, messiest problems? And that brings us to the real heart of the issue, the peril of AI in government, the hidden bias that can lurk inside the machine. And believe it or not, this is not a new problem. Let's rewind all the way back to the 1980s in London. A medical school built a computer program to help make their admissions process more fair and efficient. But it did the exact opposite. For years, it was systematically kicking out qualified applicants who were women or who had names that didn't sound European. And why? Well, it turns out the algorithm was trained on decades of admissions data from biased human decision makers. The program didn't get rid of the bias, it just put it on autopilot. So, what are we really talking about here? Well, algorithmic bias is basically when a computer system consistently spits out results that are unfairly prejudiced against a certain group. This isn't just a random glitch, it's a baked-in, repeatable error that keeps creating unfair outcomes. And this quote really gets to the heart of the danger. As critics like Kathy O'Neill have pointed out, these systems can take the inequalities that already exist in our society and crank them up to 11, all while wearing this mask of technological objectivity. They look fair, but they can be anything but. So a history lesson is one thing, but what does this look like today? What are the real-world costs when a flawed AI gets deployed? Let's look at a pretty high-stakes case to see just how badly things can go. This brings us to Michigan. Back in 2013, the state's unemployment insurance agency launched a new automated system called MIDAS. The whole point was to get really efficient at catching unemployment fraud. And right away, the system started flagging fraud like crazy. But there was a huge, huge problem. Between 2013 and 2015, the system accused more than 40,000 people of fraud. Think about that. 40,000 lives just thrown into chaos, facing financial ruin, all based on the word of an algorithm. And here's the kicker. After years of lawsuits and audits, it turned out that a mind-boggling 85% of those accusations were flat out wrong. The system, which was running with almost zero human oversight, was wrong almost all of the time. So how can a system get it so wrong? Let's use a simpler example. Imagine you want to use AI to find lead water pipes. A great idea, right? So you train it on city records of pipe age and materials. But what about the older, lower-income neighborhoods where the records have always been kind of spotty? Well, the AI just sees a lack of data and concludes no data, no risk. The result? The very communities that are most at risk get ignored, and a cycle of neglect just keeps on going. So yeah, the risks are huge. And that leads to the really urgent question for our cities. How do we build AI that we can actually trust? How do we make it responsible and ethical? The answer, it seems, rests on 4 main pillars. First, fairness. So you have to actively check that the system isn't discriminating. Second, transparency. We need to be able to pop the hood and see why the AI made a decision. Third, accountability. It has to be crystal clear who's responsible when things go wrong. And maybe the most important one, human oversight. For any big decision that affects someone's life, a human being has to have the final say, period. And in the real world, this is leading governments to think in terms of risk. So you have a low-risk tool like a spell checker, go for it, it's safe. Then you have medium risk, like an info chatbot. Okay, that needs to be transparent. But then you get to the high-risk stuff, AI used in healthcare, or for hiring, or by law enforcement. That needs super strict rules and a human in the loop. And then, there are some things, like real-time public surveillance, that are just deemed an unacceptable risk to our rights and probably shouldn't be used at all. And this isn't just a conversation for big federal agencies. It's happening at the local level, too. Take Grove City, Ohio, a town of about 41,000 people. They didn't just wait around for someone else to make the rules. They created their own local AI policy to make sure they could use these tools safely. It's a fantastic example of a community taking control of its own future. Which brings us to our final and honestly most important takeaway. We have to stop thinking about AI as this alien thing and start seeing it for what it really is. Here's the fundamental truth we just have to get our heads around. Technology feels objective. It's just ones and zeros, right? But it is never, ever neutral. It's built by people, it's trained on data from our world, and it always, always reflects the values and the biases of its creators. So the most important thing to remember is this. An AI is only as good or as biased as the data we feed it. If that data is full of historical inequities in housing or healthcare or policing, well, the AI is going to learn those biases perfectly. It becomes a mirror, reflecting our society right back at us, the good, the bad, and the very, very ugly. In the end, the question really isn't whether our cities are going to use AI. I mean, that train has already left the station. The real question, the one we all need to answer, is this. What kind of future and what kind of city are we going to choose to build with it?